Many of us can barely remember a time when the subject of mental illness was a closed conversation. And that is in large part due to the support of big corporate leaders like Bell and RBC, to name a few. Joining us today is a mental health advocate, Tracey Addison. Welcome to What She Said.
Thank you, Christine.
Today was RBC's Race for the Kids, the 5th annual event, which has raised a total of $7.3 million, and that's not counting this year's.
That's right.
Before we talk about that, tell us the story of how you became an ambassador.
My story is not unlike many of the families that I work with. My husband and I have two sons who are 18 and 21, and when our youngest son was 14, he was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And it became crippling. His anxiety became so intense that he wasn't able to get up in the morning, get out the door, get to school. And my husband and I were struggling to try and find resources. And I happened upon a Sunnybrook magazine. And as I flipped through, I learned about a program called the Family Navigation Project, which is a program that works with youth between the ages of 13 and 26 and their families to help find resources for them to support their mental health and or addiction.
Tracey, let me ask you, 14-year-olds often they want to sleep in, often are moody and emotional. When did you realize that this was something more than that?
Good question. I think originally we were at a grade 7 interview, parent-teacher interview. And it was the teacher that said, we're noticing changes in your son, that happy-go-lucky little boy, young man that we saw every day. He's become much more reserved, withdrawn, not socializing, not eating all his lunch, withdrawing from other friends. And that was how it came to our attention. And it was then that we had him tested, and he saw a psychiatrist, and he was assessed and diagnosed with depression and anxiety.
This is pretty much the only service of its kind in the country. I mean, that seems odd. Why should there be more? What was so special about this for you?
Well, originally the group was started, the project rather, was started by a group of families that were very frustrated about the lack of support and resources for youth mental health and addiction. And a group of parents came to administrators at Sunnybrook Hospital and said, we need to do something about this. And it was the tenacity of the family group, which became our Family Advisory Council, that they saw the need for something like this and approached the administrators at Sunnybrook and founded the Family Navigation Project.
So how does it work?
Good question. Families can call in on our general line, and they speak to an intake person who asks them what's happening in their home. And the intake person then will pass on their information to a navigator. We call them navigators. And a navigator is someone with a social work background or a background in psychology. They're all master's level students, graduates rather, and they will connect with you, ask you what's happening in your home, what are you experiencing, what is your child experiencing, and then take that information and go out and try and find resources that match that family. Then the key point for us was that they followed up with us to say, how's that working for you? And do you need additional resources? Are you fine with the resources that we've given you? And they continued down that path with us. They held our hand.
How long do they help you?
It varies. It might be that you connect with a resource that is all you need, and you do that very quickly within a week or so, but it might be that there are months involved in trying to find a support group for the parents or a therapist for the young person. So that depends on the needs of the family, really.
Looking back now and having talked to other parents who maybe went through this before you and didn't have this to rely on, what do you think the difference is that it made in your life?
Oh, the impact was huge. I think without the Family Navigation Project and the support that RBC has provided for the program to exist, my son would be in a very bad place. And I shudder to think what might have happened. He was suicidal at one point. He'd been hospitalized a number of times for things like cutting and suicidal ideation. And if we hadn't found the Family Navigation Project, I'm not sure my son would be here today.
And how is he today?
He's doing well, thank you. It's still a struggle for him, but he's in a much better place. We take one day at a time, and he's working on getting his life together, working towards his goals. His anxiety is under control, so he leads a much fuller life now, and our whole family is really blessed.
Well, so far the program has assisted more than 1,600
Yes, I think we're up to about 1,800 families.
now. So what is the demand?
It's high. When we have families contact us, they often say, we learned about you through, and then they'll mention they learned about us through their doctor's office or word of mouth. The demand is high, and we think, Kate, that it will only continue to increase as more and more young people are faced with mental health and addiction issues.
And also because the conversation's opened and perhaps they feel freer to tell their parents, and the parents are maybe looking for it a little, not looking for it, but they're aware that they should watch for signs.
Yes, I think that we belong now to a society that has a greater awareness of mental health and addiction. And given that the more we talk about these things, the less stigma there is, and that allows people to tell their stories.
What costs are covered?
There are no costs involved. So I think that was the thing that absolutely shocked me, because we depend on donors and the generosity of RBC. All of the people who ran for our race have, in fact, helped support our program. So there is no cost to the families who contact us.
That's wonderful.
Well, the race was today, a big
Yes.
success. It's often an early sellout. So what we're wondering is, for those listening now, how can they help support RBC's initiative at Sunnybrook?
So the race was a huge success. However, if you're interested in making a donation towards mental health for young adults and addiction for young adults, you can go to rbcraceforthekids.ca and you can make a donation now after the fact.
Oh, so you can just make it. So any idea at this point? Was it a sellout again today?
Yes.
So that's
Wonderful.
fantastic. How many
Yes.
people took part? That must be thousands.
My understanding is that there were about 8,500, approximately 8,500 people who either did the 5, 7, or 15K run.
Right. Is there a plan to expand this across the country? I mean, there must be parents all across, from coast to coast, who are wondering when something might be accessible for their community. Have you had lots of demand?
Yes, and we often talk about that because we're navigating for families within the GTA, and we know that there's a need across the country. So we would love to see a program like this expand and go to become a national program.
And it covers young people aged 13 to 26?
That's right.
So that's a good range. And it's mental health or addiction
Yes.
services. So what percentage do you know of those people that are coming in have both of those issues? They seem to be often combined?
Yes, I think it's common to have concurrent issues, that many young people with mental health issues are also suffering from addiction.
Well, Tracy, this has been such a pleasure, and I think anybody listening, it's an eye-opener to know that we have another great resource in this city, and hopefully it will spread. Let's throw out that web address again for anyone interested in supporting this and donating.
If you Google rbcraceforthekids.ca, you'll find all the information you need.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and I'd like to once again thank all the runners who participated in the race.
This is what she said. We'll be right back.